See what happens when there's no bell? Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to the Rotary Club of York, the 26th largest Rotary Club in the world, and a club dedicated to imagining and living out the motto of service above self. I am Glenn Miller, the club president. We are especially delighted today to be here at Penn State-York, one of the greatest institutions of higher education in York. Somebody please see that Pamela heard that I said that. Seriously, we are very grateful for the university's hospitality, and we look forward to today's program on the good things happening here at Penn State-York. Our opening song today, My Country 'Tis of Thee, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Linda Gorder. Our invocation will be led by Eric Chase, and I will have the privilege of acknowledging our many guests today.
Very nice. Good afternoon, everyone. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Love, whose God spread from every mountainside, let freedom reign. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please join me in the way that you're most accustomed for prayer? Creator God, we come before you this afternoon and we thank you for the Rotary Club of York. We thank you for institutions of higher learning like Penn State that help to improve others' lives. We especially thank you for transformational leadership that will be shared with us today by our speakers in our panel. And we thank you for the food that was provided to us, the hands that served it and prepared it, that we may use it to nourish our bodies so that we may continue to serve above self. And we ask this in the many names that we call you. Amen.
Be seated. It is understandably and delightfully a very full day for us from the standpoint of visitors. And so we will forego, as is our practice on these occasions, the introduction of folks name by name. If you are a visitor among us this morning, would you please rise? As I said, we got a lot of them. Friends, we are very grateful to have you all here with us today. I hope you have enjoyed the fellowship of our members, and I know that you will enjoy today's program. I hope you will return to visit us again, even when we are not in exotic remote locations as we are today, and perhaps even consider joining our ranks. Friends, let's welcome our visitors today. You may be seated. Several announcements for the good of the order. The sympathy of our club and our prayers are extended to our friend and fellow Rotarian Dick Julian at the death of his wife of 67 years, Karen. I am delighted to share with you the wonderful news, that Rotarian Melissa Rosario's daughter, Alea Lillian McGarry, was born on January the 5th. Proud parents, Melissa and Jason McGarry, are pleased to welcome her to their family, which also includes siblings Aiden and Addis. We'll have no trouble with towel monograms for those children. Mom and baby are healthy and resting at home, and we send them our hearty congratulations. The IDEA committee will meet on Monday, the 6th of February at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The Communications Committee will meet on Tuesday, February the 7th at 3 p.m. at Fox 43 and via Zoom. The PPE Committee will meet on Wednesday, February the 8th at 8 a.m. at Warehouse and via Zoom. And this isn't in the announcements, but speaking of Fox 43, I hope many, if not all of you, got to see the broadcast of our marketing commercial that was premiered last week at our meeting. I know that those have already been running. I believe they were run during the playoff games, in fact, this weekend. So I've just told Josh George to prepare for the flood of new members that will be coming in as a result of that great work. Thank you to those of you who have already responded to last week's announcement in regard to the global project to build toilets in Sandapia, Ethiopia. Members of the Global Projects Committee are here today to answer any questions and to collect any donated checks you might have. If you are a member of that committee, would you please stand briefly so folks can see who you are and would be able to track you down after the meeting? Thank you, folks. You can also make those donations, of course, via the Rotary website under charitable donations, or mail your gift to the office the old-fashioned way. Tomorrow, February the 2nd, you are all invited to join me at Aviano's Corner Trattoria on Duke Street in downtown York, where I will be celebrity bartending from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. All the tips that are collected for that for me, and half of the proceeds of the signature drink, which is my version of an old-fashioned, will be donated to the York Rotary Charitable Endowment Fund for our many worthy projects. You are welcome to just show up for that, but if you're inclined to let Rob Bowen know that you are coming, please do let him know. He likes to keep track of how many folks come and enjoy these events. And finally, the club extends its hearty congratulations to the Yorktown Hotel. Whoa! Which I'm sure all of you know had its grand reopening last evening. All of us have a special place in our hearts for this remarkable institution, especially we Rotarians who called the Yorktown home for such a long time. If you haven't seen it yet, get yourself there. It is quite breathtaking. It's a wonderful restoration and absolute game changer, a new chapter in our life together in downtown York. I'm not going to begin to name people because that would be dangerous, but we have a lot of folks in Rotary that have been connected to this project for years. In particular, two of our newest members, Michael Bloom and James Parker, obviously Kevin Schreiber from the Economic Alliance. If you have been involved in the leadership of that project, would you stand? Wow, they're all cleaning up after the event last night. Huh? There we go. Okay, we got a couple. Very good. And I heard a great thing at lunch today. Before the event last night, they had 75 rooms reserved for people that were spending the night. By the end of the ribbon cutting event, the rooms were sold out. People just decided to stay. I think that is so cool. And I hope they keep coming back. And now, past President Josh George has some new members for us to meet today. Josh.
Thank you, President Glenn. And if our new members could come on up here, you're all seated right here near the front. If you would just come up here, either side, whichever you choose. Oh, thanks. Yes. I've noticed a theme with President Glenn's offsite meetings. We were at the Yorkview room a couple of weeks ago at York College. Here we are at this beautiful facility today overlooking the campus and part of downtown York. I hope that we'll have an offsite meeting at the Yorktown Hotel at the top of the roof there sometime soon, but when the weather warms up. So can you please make that happen?
On the agenda.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So today, it's my privilege as always to introduce 4 new members to our Rotary Club. We will start from left to right. And so we will begin with Luke Walton. Luke is the smallest of the group. Sorry, Glenn, you technically are. Luke is a graduate of Bermudian Springs High School, and he went on to earn his BS in animal science at Penn State. And when you hear that he works for Link Bank, you'll wonder how an animal science degree ends up at Link Bank. You'll have to ask him about that after the meeting. He is the senior relationship manager at Link Bank. His volunteer activities include serving on the board of trustees for Future Farmers of America and as a volunteer at Junior Achievement. His interests include golf, fishing, and sitting on a beach anywhere warm. Also a good one. His wife is Lindsay, and he is proposed for membership by Matt Falvey. Ladies and gentlemen, Luke Walton. Next to Luke is Glenn Spinello. Glenn is a graduate of West Islip High School in Long Island, but he transplanted to York for his career a little bit later. He also earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in Management and Entrepreneurship from Gettysburg College and went on to earn a BS in accounting at York College. He currently works at Eisenhart and Company, where he's a partner on the valuation and value advisory side of the business. His community service includes participation in Leadership York, where he graduated from the leadership training program. He serves on his church's finance committee. He's been a volunteer at Junior Achievement as well, and he has served on the York Suburban Communities That Care. His hobbies include running. In fact, he has done about 59 marathons. He's also completed an Ironman, which, if you don't know, is about a 112-mile bike, a 2-mile swim, and a marathon, all at once, back to back to back. I think it took him about 14 hours to do that. His hobbies outside of running include yoga, reading, and playing the guitar. He is married to Kelly. They have 2 kids, John and Matthew, who are adults in their 20s, and he is proposed by fellow marathon runner John Eister, and we were having a conversation about who runs slower now at this point in their lives. John and Glenn will have to duke that out again as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Spinello. Next up is Wayne Martin. Wayne is a graduate of Eastern Technical High School in Baltimore and went on to earn his Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from Morgan State. Fellow engineer, I love another engineer joining our Rotary Club because the bankers and the attorneys are always outnumbering the engineers. We need another engineer. Wayne is the founder and president of Martin Data Solutions. It's his own small business that he started about 2 years ago, providing electrical engineering and that type of service to York and everywhere around York. And actually, a small note, I met Wayne about a week after he started his business. We got paired up in a golf outing together, didn't know each other at the outing, had a great opportunity to connect. And lo and behold, about 6 months after that, I started my own business too. So we become fast friends in starting your own engineering business in the last 24 months world here. His hobbies include coaching football, playing chess, and hanging out with his family. He is married to Lakisa, and they have 2 kids, Cameron, who is 8, and Roman, who is 4. And one other side note about Wayne, and Lauren, you'll appreciate this. His birthday is August 6th, which also happens to be my birthday. So we had another thing in common right out of the gate. But that makes 5 members of this Rotary Club whose birthdays are on August 6th. Lauren Crow, Chuck Long, I don't know, Chuck, if you're here, and Bill Hunter. All 5 of us now have the same birthday. So come August, if you guys don't mind singing happy birthday to us, that would be awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Martin. And last but certainly not least, we have Matthew Smith. Matthew's a graduate of Susquehannock High School, and he went on to earn his Bachelor of Arts in Electronic Media and Film from Towson University, where he also minored in English. He is employed by the York County Literacy Council, where he serves as Director of Development. His community service includes serving as a board member for the Charles Village Community Benefits District. He is a past vice president of the Association for Commuter Transportation. He has volunteered with Habitat for Humanity and also on the DNC, which I assume was the Democratic National Committee, but I don't. Okay, it said DNC, and I thought there's probably a couple choices, but I hoped I picked the right one. His hobbies include reading, teaching poetry, cycling, and also playing guitar. So maybe you and Glenn can pick up and play a little band here. Yeah, awesome. Rock out a little bit. He has one son, Owen, who is 7, and he is proposed by none other than his boss, Bobby Ann DeLeo. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Smith.
Wayne, Matt, Glenn, and Luke, a heartfelt welcome to this club and to this family. You will sometimes hear your fellow Rotarians talk about the difference between being a member of the Rotary Club and actually being a true Rotarian. And as you live into this new relationship, I think you'll figure out the difference. And I'm trusting that you're all going to end up as Rotarians. I know that as you get to know us and become a part of this club, I hope that it makes you better citizens in our community. I know that having you among us is going to make us a better club. Friends, let's once again welcome our 4 new members. You may be seated. Otherwise, you have to do the program. So. And now, without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome Mark Wheeler, who will introduce our program for the day. Mark.
Thank you, President Glenn. Really appreciate you have some blue in your tie there today. Like to see that at the preeminent university here in this side of town. Thank you. We are fortunate to be here in Poly Hall. John, would you please rise and be recognized for your efforts? Thank you, John, and to all the partners who helped with this tremendous facility. Would love to see everybody come back. Before I introduce our speaker today, we have one other item for those of you who are familiar with the blue and the white. It's not a song per se, but I think we all know where I'm headed. We are. Thank you. Now we're ready to get started. Welcome to Penn State-York, everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. David Christiansen, our Chancellor here at Penn State-York. Dr. Christiansen began serving as the Chancellor of Penn State-York on August the 1st, 2018. Amazing that it was that long ago. He joined the Penn State community in 2004 as a professor of classics and senior associate dean for academic affairs at Penn State Erie. The Barron campus is how it was referred to back in my day. 2013, he relocated to State College to begin an appointment as the associate vice president, senior associate dean for Penn State Commonwealth campuses. Over the course of his career at Penn State, Dr. Christiansen has overseen the creation of more than 90 academic programs across the university. He co-chaired Penn State's Enhanced Education Pathways Committee, which created several programs to increase the enrollment and graduation rates of first-generation and low-income students. He worked with the University Development Office to create the Open Doors program, which resulted in a new $250 million endowment to provide scholarships for undergraduate students. Before his start at Penn State University, Dr. Christiansen was a professor of classics, director of interdisciplinary studies, and the dean of the Joseph Baldwin Academy at Truman State University in Missouri. He earned his bachelor's degree in history and Latin from Texas Tech University and his master's and doctorate in classics at the University of Wisconsin. Dr. Christiansen's primary research interest revolves around the late Republican, early imperial Latin historians, especially the monographs and history of Gaius Celestius Crispus, a contemporary and I had practiced that and still didn't get it, and a confidant of Julius Caesar. He is particularly interested in the manner in which Latin historians utilized identity, rhetoric, and imagery when writing about the past to comment on contemporary events. Through this strategy, they were able to make bold statements about social, political, and cultural events as the Republic collapsed and Roman generals fought among themselves to establish an imperial rule. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. David Christiansen.
Thank you. First of all, I owe you a big apology. I sent a boilerplate biography of myself to Mark, and I never thought he'd do that boring last paragraph on my work. If you're a classicist, it sounds really interesting, but I suspect not many of you are. So sorry for that. Although, Mark, I owe you a big thanks. I was really going to razz Glenn, but you've done it for me, so we can just move on here. Yeah. It really is an honor to have Rotary here at Penn State-York, here in the Graham Center for Innovation and Collaboration. We've been wanting to have you here for a long time. We thought it would have been a couple of years ago, but COVID came in the way and a lot of other things happened, but now we finally have you here. We're excited to talk to you about transformational leadership opportunities for our students. And you're going to be hearing from a couple faculty members, staff members, but most importantly from our students who benefit from these programs. We're in the beautiful Graham Center for Innovation and Collaboration. The architect for this was our own Frank Dittenhafer. I know Frank's here somewhere. There he is. Thank you, Frank. But let's see. What do I need to, oh, turn it on. Thank you, Lauren. That's why I pay you the big bucks. There you go. So I want to tell you a story about a meeting that took place about 12 years ago with a predecessor of mine. Don Graham came to Penn State-York and asked what we did to prepare our students for working in the York community. And we are so proud to talk to him about what happened in the classroom, how we educated our students in academic disciplines, teaching them content and methodology and all of these sort of things that our faculty do so very well. But he said that's not enough. He challenged us to find a different sort of education that would prepare students for contributing to a workforce from day one. He was very much interested, there we go. He was very much interested in the sort of training that helps students excel in a professional work environment. So those sort of skills that you want to see in all your employees, to be innovative, to be collaborators, to be attentive listeners, to be empathetic, to be good professionals. So how do we go about doing that? So Don proposed to us that he endow the Graham Fellows Program for Entrepreneurial Leadership. And you're going to be hearing about the Graham Fellows Program, which has been here for about a dozen years. But with this wonderful gift of the Graham Center for Innovation and Collaboration, we're able to do much more than just that. The Graham Fellows Program, as you'll hear from our director, Alan Lehman, is a program that helps about 10% of our student body. But now with this building here, we're able to host student clubs and organizations whose mission has to do with innovation and collaboration. And so you'll be hearing from Professor Megan Lorenz and several of her students talking about the future business leaders of America. And finally, you'll hear about a third program we have here called the Center for Inclusive Leadership. I'll be back talking a little bit about that. We'll watch a video highlighting one of our students, but most importantly, we'll be hearing from a student, Lance Fischel, at the very end, talking about his journey. Before we get started, though, I want to acknowledge the philanthropists that made this wonderful building a possibility. 98% of its costs were raised by philanthropists in the community. You look at the picture of the ribbon cutting for the building just, a year and a half ago. And you'll notice past President Di Hershey, who was instrumental in raising the money in the community. You'll notice, of course, the Nittany Lion, John and Maria Pauley, after whom this hall is named. We also have representing in that picture Michael Haiti of the Powder Mill Foundation. Thank you so much, Michael, for your work. We also received a substantial gift from the Wareheim Foundation. Dave Meckley, I appreciate all that you did for us. I won't bother with the other four people. They're just Penn State administrators, or as Don likes to call them, overhead. So let's go directly to Alan to talk about the Graham Fellows Program.
Thank you, Dr. Christiansen, and thank you all for being here today. While I will be brief, I think it's important to really recognize the value that our students provide, not only to our campus, but the community as a whole. And so our program, the Graham Fellows Program for Entrepreneurial Leadership, really does fit that mission that Don came to us 12 years ago with. And that is to bridge the gap from student to young professional. And so we do that through a sequence of programs, including a business etiquette program that allows us to teach professional presence as well as dining etiquette, and follow that up with a networking event where we bring in our local community partners to give our students the opportunity to practice that skill. We also do an emotional intelligence program and a speaker series that allows us to expose our students to the different types of industries or the paths to a particular career field that are available. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my extra screens. I'm not used to this. So pictured here, we have a local community member. I know many of you may recognize this individual, Matt Summers from Shipley Energy. Shipley is one of those corporate partners that year in and year out provides internship opportunities for our students, participates in our events, and just generally are great collaborators for us. And that's what we want. At the completion of our students going through the program, typically at graduation, they graduate as Graham Fellows and have the opportunity to sit down with a very committed Mr. Graham, who always checks up to make sure students are receiving the valuable experiences that we promised 10 years ago. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to our two students to let them tell you a little bit about their experience in the program.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Dellinger. I'm a junior here at Penn State-York and also a member of the Grams program. The Graham program has been really transformative to me specifically to have the opportunity to connect with other students who are like-minded in the fact that they're entrepreneurial and also possess the same motivation I do as far as reaching new heights to further my career. Something really impactful that the Grams program has provided to me is the opportunity to hone in on my networking skills and my ability to connect with our corporate partners that Alan briefly mentioned earlier. So that's been the most impactful thing to me, as well as the business etiquette dinner. Really great opportunity just to be able to connect with other corporate partners and to be able to get my name out there and work on my networking skills.
Hello, everyone. I'm Isaiah Morales. Like Ryan, I'm also part of the Graham Fellows program. One thing that really stuck out to me as I just became a part of this program recently is we had the business etiquette dinner. And, you know, all of us as little kids were always taught by our parents, you know, table manners, stuff like that. But it was still eye-opening for me because I didn't know that you could tell what you're going to be having as, you know, as a meal based on your place setting. So I thought that that was really cool. And it was funny because 2 days after we had our business etiquette dinner, I was back there at the Country Club of York, and I was there for an event with my parents. And I noticed that they were, you know, starting to serve food, and they served my dad first. And I was like, oh gosh. Because I noticed that he was starting to pick up his fork, and, you know, like we all learned at the business etiquette class, you can't eat until everybody has been served their food. So it was a good opportunity for me to kind of reinforce those skills that I learned at the business etiquette class, and also kept my dad on his toes. But yes, so thank you.
Thank you, Ryan and Isaiah. With that, I will turn it over to Professor Lorenz, who will talk about the future business leaders of America.
Good afternoon. It's very exciting to be in front of all of you to talk about some of the successes that we've had with Future Business Leaders of America. So I've invited 4 students here that are involved in the organization to talk specifically about their experiences. How many of you are familiar with Future Business Leaders of America? Awesome. This is good company then. We're going to really impress them for sure. So Future Business Leaders of America is actually the largest collegiate business organization in the world. And so it focuses on not just business, but professional skills and developing leadership, developing people's knowledge of technology, public speaking, and it even encourages them to go out into the community and volunteer, which is very important. And so they do have a really large competitive events program that we actively participate in that the students are going to speak about in a moment. I would get in trouble with all of them if I didn't put a plug in for our Instagram, because they're trying to get an increase here on their followers as part of their goals. As you can see up here, there's many transformative types of experiences that FBLA offers. They offer an excellence program, which basically encourages students at the collegiate level to start to learn about CEUs. How many of you Lord. Yes. So we count up our CEUs. It encourages students to go in, get these CEUs and get different levels of awards and starts them really learning professionalism kind of in your obligation to your discipline and continuing to develop. Our chapter also participates in the March of Dimes, which is a program that they ask us to participate in and raise money for. We plan fundraising activities for ourselves to try to travel to our state and leadership conferences. So the students actually write grants and apply for proposals for funds within our community. So it's a really great experience and exposure for them to do that as well. So the three things on the bottom of the slide that they're going to speak about, well, first is we have executive board members, and those board members really run the organization. It's student run, and they have to do a strategic plan. They have to execute a plan, and then they have to really guide our organization for the year. So Rebecca Mock, who's our Vice President for Public Relations, is going to talk about that.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Mock, Vice President of Public Relations, as previously mentioned. Going into my junior year, I haven't joined any organizations or clubs on campus. I kind of felt like I was sitting back and watching my college career fly by, and I barely knew anybody on a campus that I had been going to for like 2 years. So Caitlin over here actually convinced me to come to the first FBLA meeting of the year. And actually immediately after the meeting, I found myself volunteering to be Vice President of Public Relations. Yeah. So my role as an officer has really helped me step out of my comfort zone. I've met so many new people and have really improved my public speaking skills, networking, communication, and planning skills as well. Within my role as an officer, I do oversee the management of our social media page, which is our Instagram. This responsibility has really strengthened my creativity, and I love being able to help the organization's platform grow. I am still working on it, but since taking over the account, we have grown over 32% in followers, and I do plan to continue expanding our social media presence. Thank you.
The other thing that we actually take a significant participation in is the National Stock Market Game that's actually sponsored by SIFMA. And SIFMA is the Securities Industry Financial Management Association. And they run a competition every semester. And so not this past fall, but the fall before, we gave it a try for the first time. We finished first in the country. This time we gave it a shot again. We had 2 teams and we finished second and third in the country this past fall. So Isaiah Morales was on our second place team, and he's going to talk to you about his experience.
Yes, so I participated in the stock market game. Before I was considering it, but like I mentioned to Miss Lorenz, I didn't really know what a ticker symbol was. So that was pretty, a big learning point for me. But me and my other teammates, we were able to, pull through, and we were able to sell stocks, to buy stocks, and we did a lot of trading during stock market hours. And even Professor Lorenz, we went through Yahoo Finance to kind of analyze stocks as well. So that was kind of the icing on the cake. That was a big goal of 2022 for me, was to learn the stock market. Because it kind of pushed me to change my major. I'm now going to be a finance major because of it. So it was a huge learning opportunity for me, and I'm glad I participated. So thank you.
We got another one to come to the dark side. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then the last point on the slide, but certainly not the least, this is our claim to fame here on the campus, is the National Program for Competitive Events. And so FBLA has a competitive events program of over 50 different competitions that students can compete in. It ranges from a speech to taking a test to actually developing a client deliverable like a business plan or a website. And we are pretty successful, and I won't share all that. I'll keep it for Caitlin and Ryan to talk about.
Hello, everyone again. So I am this year's chapter president of our FBLA chapter. So this past year, our national leadership conference was hosted in Chicago. So I had the amazing opportunity to travel with our team out to Chicago last June. So switching to the next slide, we did have a lot of success there. And we managed to have everybody who traveled to Chicago place in at least one category on the national level, which was a new achievement for us here at Penn State-York, and pretty impressive at that. We had multiple members also win a couple different national awards as well. So here you can see the different categories we had placed in. So it was a really great opportunity to be able to connect with other FBLA members. And we also participated in different workshops there. And really this experience at Chicago led me to want to hold a leadership position within FBLA. And it really inspired me to continue to also compete at a presentation level. Last year, I competed in 2 testing categories and was able to place in both at the national level. So I'm going to hand it off to Caitlin, who was also a member last year and at the National Leadership Conference, who will speak to you a little bit about the presentation categories as well. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Caitlin. Last year, I competed in the testing categories and I went to the networking events and the different workshops they held. And that was a really great opportunity. But this year, I'm super excited because I'm going to be competing in our presentation categories. And I'm really excited for that because it's going to push me out of my comfort zone and help me practice public speaking. And I'm really excited because last year, my one friend, Disha, she left the room saying, I feel so empowered after presenting. And I just thought that was incredible. And it's really also cool because some of the judges are CEOs and CFOs of top companies. So it's a really cool opportunity that I'm excited for.
So we like visuals here. As you can see, we have 52 state wins and we have a total of 32 national wins in a matter of 4 years. So we don't go to lose. I mean, I don't go to lose, but we don't go to lose. And we are feared for sure. You know, we are Penn State. And so here's kind of a picture of us. This was the team that went to Chicago. And, you know, we have a tradition here. We take us super serious, but we're not always super serious, right? We like to have fun too, and we love to win. So we appreciate your time today, and I'll turn it back over to the Chancellor.
Thank you. Boy, I really enjoy working with dedicated professionals like Alan and like Megan. They make our job so wonderful here. But it's really, when you look at this picture of that, you understand why you're in higher education. It's our students. It's them doing well, them being successful. We empower them. And all educators, even at the other prestigious institutions here, feel the very same way about it. So I'm going to leave this up just for a second. I want you to be sure to take a hard look at Megan Lorenz right here in the center with her geeky little gestures there. But so far, we've talked about 2 of the 3 leadership programs that really can be transformational for our students, something that exists outside the classroom. Students don't have to do these things. Rather, they have to be nominated and eventually selected. But again, we're talking about a small number of students. We're talking about no more than 10% of our student body for the Graham Fellows program. And in FBLA, what you've had maybe a maximum of 20 students, maybe over, 30. Oh, it's growing. Still, that's a very small portion of our student body. And what we want to do here with this wonderful facility that our benefactors have given us, we want to extend these transformational programs to our entire student body because we feel that everyone can be a leader. And to get us started, imagine that you're coming from Mars in 1950 and you want to be a leader. If you look at this picture, you say, well, if I want to be a leader, I have to work really hard at being a white male. And oh my gosh, here's a typical board from long ago. And these guys look all the same with the exception of the progress of their male pattern baldness. This would not stand. And so boards began diversifying. And in this picture here, by my count, I see 4 men with a mustache. So there's some progress there. And one of these things is not like the other. We have a woman, finally. Although, to be honest, I don't know whether she's a board member or just a secretary for this event. So this is silly. And it's obvious that this is not the world we live in now. It's a world we inherited, and and it takes time to really diversify and acknowledge and provide the support for everyone who wants to be a leader, who's capable of being a leader, to become one. So we decided that at Penn State-York, it was silly to be focusing in a world in which we have too many white male leaders. As a matter of fact, only 22% of the US population is non-Hispanic white males. And if you try to relegate yourself to leaders just coming from that small group of people, you're doing an injustice and you're really missing a lot of talent. And so with that spirit, we decided that we were going to create a new center here located in the Graham Center, the Center for Inclusive Leadership. And it's inclusive in two ways. Number one, it's educating and empowering students from all backgrounds and experiences. No matter who you are, what experiences you've had, you have the ability to be a leader. But second of all, we want them to focus on those leadership styles that promote collaborative work and cultivate communities of inclusion. I think you know as leaders, there are different styles of leadership. There is a more authoritative style. There is a more inclusive style. Sometimes you need different types of leadership styles according to different situations. But generally speaking, there is so much talent out there, and we want to cultivate that. You as leaders want to mentor individuals. And so we created this program that's available to every student. We have different sort of programming activities occurring. We have speakers, we have mentoring that goes on, and you're going to hear from one of our students who was mentored by an individual. We've talked about having book series in which we would have students and professionals in the community working and reading through books and talking about leadership styles. Everyone can participate in it to the level that they have time for and for which they wish. I'm also very excited to announce that due to a wonderful gift from the Powder Mill Foundation, we're now going to be able to appoint an executive in residence to lead this program. Now, our goal, Di's goal, and my goal was to announce this person today, and we started the approval process within Penn State bureaucracy with a month ago. Well, we have a long way to go yet. So we're going to be sharing that name with you shortly, but I'll tell you that we're extremely excited, and this individual is going to be quite familiar to you all. So be ready to hear from us. Just a couple pictures of some of the events that have occurred in the Center for Inclusive Leadership. Recently, we had Colonel Donna Brazil, some of whom you may have heard at the York Country Club, come to us and talk about the concept of resilience. And she met with students as part of the CIL initiative. We're looking to deepen our relationship with the Thayer Leadership Group at West Point. And a second little picture here, Women with a Voice panel. We had different individuals, different women in politics, elected officials like Julie Wheeler in the upper left, or Representative Carol Hill Evans, and Carol is here today. Julie is unfortunately conducting business for the county. She couldn't be here. But we had a lobbyist, we had a chief of staff, and so on. Individuals who talked about their leadership journey to start engaging our students to think about their leadership journey, where they are and where they can go, what works for them. So we're going to close our presentation here hearing from two students. One is going to be a video from one of our students, and also you'll see Julie and Carol being interviewed. And then after that, I'll be introducing another student here who will talk to you live about his leadership journey and how the CIL has assisted in it. So Lauren, could you go ahead and show the video, please?
When we look at an inclusive leader, it's somebody who reaches out to everyone, includes them in conversations and discussions, no matter what their background, because we're all different and we all have something to offer.
The Center for Inclusive Leadership is founded on the premise that anyone can be a leader, no matter their experiences, no matter their background. And so through the center, what we want to do is to provide individualized leadership training to help our students find their leadership voice.
It's evident that in today's workplaces, it's getting more and more diverse. Students today, when they enter the workforce, have to work with different types of people. It's that you can't avoid it. And companies today are actively looking for students who are not only aware of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but actively practice in it. So with a center like this on campus, it gives students the opportunity to start practicing DEI early on and before they face it for real.
It's the world in which we live. It's the changing of the times. When I was a student here, I attended as an adult. And so I was kind of here and then I was gone. I was here for class and then I was gone. But over the years, I've seen, Penn State-York just kind of explode with ideas and programs and different opportunities. And so the Center for Inclusive Leadership needs to be at the forefront of that. You can't lead from behind, you have to lead from the front. And so having the CIL here is a way that Penn State-York can lead from the front.
I think I enjoyed the most how open and welcoming the event was. I think in today's world where we bring up the word politics, it is much easier to divide people rather than bring them together. So to have an event like this it was just very open, very warm, and it was nice that an event like this was more of a conversation rather than a lecture on one viewpoint or on one stance. And it was just open to any student, anyone in the community to really voice their opinions to them.
Learn from people in other backgrounds, other cultures, other ethnicities. So I think the great thing is that while the program was geared for women and women have a voice, it was open to everyone. And that's what inclusive leadership is all about.
Right. Thank you, Lauren. Whoops. Sorry, I'm not good with technology at all. So we heard from Victoria Wen there, who was one of our students, and of course from Julie Wheeler and Representative Carol Hill Evans. Now I'd like to introduce to the podium as our final speaker today, a young man who came after serving in the military. He's a veteran. He began his leadership journey a long time ago, and he's continuing it with us here and benefiting from the Center for Inclusive Leadership. And so, Lance, would you come up and talk about your experiences?
Thank you, Dr. Christiansen and the Rotary Club of York. My journey began about 10 years ago. I joined the United States Army. I was with the 101st Airborne Division. Spent a year in Afghanistan. Really gave me a different look on life. Gave me many valuable skills, but not skills that really translated to the civilian world. When I got out of the military, I went to the workforce. Military skills did not translate very well. So I found myself at Penn State-York, where I have received so much, I've learned so much on how to become a better civilian, better person. I've worked with the Center for Inclusive Leadership, where I've been working with the York Water Company, with Kent Croman. This mentoring program has really provided assistance with me with seeing how veterans can operate in the civilian world. And this has been a real blessing in disguise coming to Penn State-York and the Graham Center. I am also a Graham fellow, Graham candidate, and that program as well has provided me with so many tools with growing myself as an individual and professional. So I want to thank again the Center for Inclusive Leadership, Rotary Club of York, and Penn State-York. Thanks.
And I know that Kent is here, our a mentor for Lance. Kent, could you wave your hand? Thank you, Kent. It's because of people like him. It's because of people like you with your abilities, your experiences, your skills, that we can match up our students with a professional and help develop their transformational journey outside of the classroom. So we have been very blessed by the programs, the support we've seen from the community, and we look forward to using the Graham Center in the future to develop not only our own students, but deepen our relationships with the York community. Like the faculty and staff at HAC, like the faculty and staff at York College of Pennsylvania, here at Penn State-York, we're all about bettering our students and supporting this local community. We feel so proud to be part of it. And with that, Glenn, we've specifically left time for questions. And if you have questions, especially for our students, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Question. Okay, the question, and Connie Wolf told me to be sure to do this today, to repeat the question, what are the future plans of our individual students? And so I don't know if some of you would like to come up and talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm a IT major with a business minor. So my plan eventually is to pursue something within IT, specifically somewhere in data analytics, or also dealing with programming. That's been the most aspects I've enjoyed the most out of IT.
I'm majoring in accounting and supply chain, and right now I'm just trying to go from internship to try and figure out what I like most.
So if you're looking for an intern,
I'm majoring in business and project and supply chain management, and I hope to manage my own hotel and manage a hotel and then hopefully own my hotel in the future.
Hello, yes. So I am currently a public policy major, but I am going to be changing that to finance. And I see myself within the financial world. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but perhaps real estate investing, something around that area.
And I am studying electromechanical engineering technology. My plan is to get some experience in the workforce and to follow that up with, I have some ideas for my own businesses.
other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for coming here to Penn State-York. Thank you, Glenn, and thank you to the Rotary for allowing us to present about our transformational leadership initiatives.
David, thank you so much. And I want to direct this, I think, especially to Mark Wheeler. You may not know, Penn State came to York in 1939. And as the 238-year-old college in the community, we just want to say how proud we are of this young upstart institution that's come into our community and is doing these kind of great things. So your serve, Mark. All kidding aside, if that's humanly possible, first of all, David, thank you very much, both for hosting us today and for this marvelous presentation. We've had a lot of good-natured kidding about York College and Penn State-York, but there's something in common between these two institutions. Besides being places of higher learning, the word York is in both of them. We all care deeply about this community that we serve, about the remarkable students that come through our doors, that we prepare to serve this incredible community that we call home. It's not a competition. There is plenty of need. And both of our institutions are serving that need. In fact, we're both serving it through places called the Graham Center. So it doesn't get much more collaborative than that. So thank you for everything that you're doing. Hearty congratulations to these students. You are doing a fabulous job, and we really enjoyed your presentation today. So let's give them another round of applause, friends. In honor of David's presentation today, he is going to be signing the book plate. Don't forget that before you leave. For the book, Richard Scarry's Best Word Book Ever by Allison Larkin, which will be donated to the York Day Nursery School. Next week, we will hear from Brian Wade, founder and CEO of Keystone Oral Histories. Brian is a native of Harrisburg, a former York educator, government official, and television talk show host with 20 years of radio, TV, and documentary production experience. Brian has a unique perspective on the remarkable stories and accomplishments of the African American community in America and in our community here in particular. Brian's motive for creating the Keystone Oral Histories project was due to the lack of regional documentary and curricular materials within public education in the United States. He will provide us a historical overview regarding the evolution of Keystone Oral Histories. He will also provide an update regarding his upcoming documentary and curriculum pertaining to the history of the Underground Railroad and abolitionist work throughout South Central Pennsylvania. I'm sure many of you know about Brian's work. It should be a fascinating program next week. Our closing quote from Deepak Chopra is, "The best use of imagination is creativity. The worst use of imagination is anxiety." I hope you have an anxiety-free afternoon, friends. This meeting is adjourned. No bell.